Hey, it's Soul. Normally I do Warcraft videos, but today I wanted to deviate just a little bit and talk a little bit about the Necromancer that had just been released for Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. I'm going to answer what's hopefully a simple question. Should you care, and should you pick this up? For those players who are kind of off and on the Diablo 3 scene much like me, I want to at least separate what you're getting from this DLC as opposed to what has just been coming normally in the Diablo 3 game. For 15 bucks, you get the Necromancer, 2 character slots, some stash tabs. You get a pet that picks up gold for you, which is pretty much just like any of the other pets in the game currently. And you get some cosmetic stuff like wings and a thing for your banner, that sigil, frame around your character, and a little flag. So apart from the class, it's not much. You're not getting a whole lot of brand spanking gameplay. Patch 2.6 was just released, and there were features that you do not have to pay for. Challenge rifts take you into a preset or a static character as well as a static rift, and you try to beat the time. And there are also a few maps and bounties available in adventure mode. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's the good old Diablo 3 that you know and love or hate. Farm for stuff, pray for drops, start a season, farm for stuff, pray for drops, start another season, and so on and so forth. Now don't get me wrong though, depending on the kind of player that you are, this might be a whole lot of fun for you, and a lot of the challenge with Diablo is, kind of taking these different sorts of builds and all these different items that we get to play with and just kind of mess around and see what we can possibly come up with. For others though who are looking for the Necromancer to bring a fresh, brand new experience, you're not going to get it. Yeah, you are going to get new ways to kill and destroy tons and tons of enemies and to challenge yourself, but in the end, it's still the same game. Part of me does question the resource and time that went into creating this class when it could have been spent, who knows, maybe creating a brand new expansion, or even going into a Diablo 4 sort of thing. Maybe I'll speculate that an expansion is in the horizon, but the Necromancer class is something that just didn't have to wait for it. But if you can't get past the fact that the Necromancer doesn't add a whole lot to the gameplay, let's just look at the Necromancer itself and let's decide, is this worth picking up? And the short answer is yes. The Necromancer class has been something that fans have been waiting for since before Diablo 3 was even released. The time it takes for the average player to build up a new class, as well as explore some of the story, even to pick up a few sets of gear and to play around in rifts and greater rifts, could easily equal to dozens and dozens of hours of gameplay. And that, I would say, is worth the $15, or if you're an avid WoW player who possesses a lot of WoW tokens, possibly nothing. So let's at least touch on the Necromancer itself and what this class is. Of course, the Necromancer from Diablo 3 is going to be compared to the one from Diablo 2. But while a chunk of the gameplay remains intact, and by that I'm talking about the differences between summoning minions, powerful nuke spells, debuffs, and so on, the way you go about it has a very different and a much more hands-on feel, at least in my opinion. And by the way, like I said, I'm an off and on Diablo 3 player. I don't consider myself an expert or a professional in any sense of the word. I have all 4 of the Necromancer sets, but I'll only really be able to speak to the Rathma set. This is the one that's primarily focused on pets, and fortunately the one that kind of resonates me with the most when it comes to comparing Diablo 2's Necromancer with this most current one. That said, it's not like you can't mix and match legendaries, gems, and skills in order to create the kind of build that you want. Viability will always be an issue at the very, very top end, but if you're just screwing around, you're probably going to have a lot of fun with any of these sets. Like I said, today's Necromancer relies a lot more on the synergy between skills rather than just throwing down a bunch of enemies, debuffing, and hoping for the best. While you don't summon dozens and dozens of skeletons and mages and revives anymore, you still have a pretty potent team at your disposal. This time skeletons pop up automatically and they'll engage with whichever target is nearby. Because they come out automatically though, a button will direct them to whatever target it is that you point at. This will give them a pretty powerful damage boost, and of course with the right sets and legendaries, they can possibly zip around like crazy ninja guys, do increased damage and attack speed, poison, or stun their enemies. Supplementing these are powerful skeletal mages that do pretty heavy damage but don't last very long on the field. Legendaries, talents, and skills help to prolong this duration. Revives also make a comeback by using corpses, which is a unique ability to the Necromancer class and also applies to all of their different sorts of specs. Put together, you can have a pretty powerful army. Skeletons will serve as the vanguard, buffing your pets and debuffing the enemy depending on who it is. Mages, for the most part, are your nuke, dealing the most damage, and the more mages that you have out, up to 10, the more damage that you'll do overall. Revives, if you want to have them out, will serve as your meat shield for you to hide behind projectiles and other deadly things. All the while, you're throwing out debuffs to improve your army and to save yourself. But this is just one possible combination out of dozens that could be feasible for your gameplay. Of course, this particular field doesn't feel perfect. It doesn't feel very fast. There's a lot of ramp up time in order to get your skeleton buffs and debuffs going. But I don't have the necessary legendaries to put into Kanai's Cube to meet that requirement. So either farm things up or explore a different set altogether. But anyway, the Necromancer does feel fun, and it'll be interesting to see when the next season of Diablo 3 comes out, just how is the meta going to work out, especially in combination with all the other classes. Exploring the Necromancer's potential provides hours upon hours of gameplay. And to be honest, it's been pretty difficult for me to throw even a short amateur review like this together because, well, I really want to farm for that weapon and I've been trying. Anyway, to just summarize my thoughts here. If you were looking for the Necromancer to bring about a revolution to the game, it's not happening. The things that you like or don't like about Diablo 3 are still there. If you're interested in whether or not the Necromancer class delivered on its promise to bring new and engaging gameplay, I'd like to think that it did. The Necromancer succeeded on sucking me back in and bringing in a new fresh look to the Necromancer that I used to enjoy, and in some ways, makes me like it even more. And for 15 bucks, I consider this to be a buy. So that's me sharing my thoughts on the Diablo 3 Necromancer. If you thought this was useful, hit a like, but if not, leave some input. I'd like to know how I can improve. Otherwise, you have a good one, and I'll see you in game. I'm Soul. Stay breezy, guys.